There are moments when someone crosses your mind for no obvious reason. You're making coffee, driving home, folding laundry, or sitting quietly at the end of the day, and suddenly their name appears in your thoughts. You don't invite the memory, it simply arrives. Most people tell themselves it's just habit, just another passing thought. But sometimes the heart remembers what two people never had the courage to say out loud. Not every love story ends because love disappears. Sometimes it ends because fear speaks louder than love. And that's what we're talking about today. Someone may still carry your name in their heart, not because they can't move on, but because they never truly stopped loving you. The surprising part isn't that they still care, it's why they've remained silent for so long. Let's explore the signs. Sign number 1. Silence doesn't always mean the feelings are gone. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing silence means someone has stopped caring. Real life is often much more complicated. Sometimes people disappear because speaking feels harder than staying quiet. They replay every conversation in their mind. They wonder whether reaching out would make things worse. They write messages they never send. They imagine your response before you've even seen their name appear on your phone. Fear has a strange way of convincing people that protecting themselves is safer than risking one honest conversation, especially after disappointment, especially after losing someone who truly mattered. If someone still carries deep feelings for you, silence isn't always distance. Sometimes it's hesitation because the heart already knows what it wants, while the mind keeps searching for reasons to wait. But that's only the beginning. The next sign explains why they still notice you, even when it seems like they've completely disappeared. Sign number 2, they quietly notice more than you realize. Some people don't stop watching because they're obsessed. They keep paying attention because part of their heart never truly left. Maybe they notice when you seem happier. Maybe they notice when you're unusually quiet. Maybe they remember important dates that even close friends have forgotten, not because they're trying to control your life, because caring leaves memories behind. Psychology tells us that emotional attachment changes the way our attention works. When someone once meant something important to us, our mind naturally becomes more aware of small details connected to that person. That's why a familiar song suddenly reminds them of you. A certain place brings back memories. Even a simple phrase can pull them back into a moment they thought they had already buried. They may never admit these things. In fact, they may pretend everything is completely normal, but emotions rarely disappear just because people stop talking. Sometimes they simply become quieter, and quiet feelings can last much longer than loud promises ever do. Yet here's what most people never realize. Remembering someone isn't the hardest part. The hardest part is wondering whether they still remember you too, and that's where fear begins to take control. Sign number 3, they still compare new people to you. Moving on isn't always as simple as meeting someone new. When a connection leaves a deep emotional imprint, the mind naturally compares future experiences to what once felt meaningful. They may sit across from someone else at dinner, yet notice the conversation doesn't flow the way it did with you. They may hear laughter, but it doesn't bring the same sense of comfort. Little by little, they begin to understand that what they're searching for isn't perfection. It's the feeling they once had when you were together. That's why replacing you has never been as easy as they expected, because people can be replaced, but peace cannot, and you gave them a kind of peace they haven't found again. But here's what changes everything. Missing someone isn't enough. Eventually, the heart must decide whether to stay silent or finally speak. Sign number 4. Fear is the only thing standing between you. People often think love and fear are opposites. They're not. Very often the strongest feelings create the deepest fears. They wonder, what if they've already moved on? What if they don't want to hear from me anymore? What if I reopen a wound that finally healed? These questions become walls, not because love became weaker, but because the consequences feel bigger. The more someone values you, the more careful they become. That's why they hesitate, not because your place in their heart became smaller, because losing you a second time feels unbearable. Relationship psychology shows that people who fear rejection often delay reaching out, even when they genuinely care. They convince themselves tomorrow will be a better day, then tomorrow becomes next week becomes next month, and silence slowly becomes a habit. But habits can change, especially when the heart grows tired of pretending. Sign number 5. Real love rarely disappears overnight. The truth is, real love usually doesn't end with one argument. It doesn't disappear because of distance, and it doesn't vanish simply because two people stop talking. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it hides behind pride, fear, or unfinished conversations. But deep emotional bonds often leave traces that remain for years. If someone still carries your name in their heart, they aren't holding on because life stopped. They're holding on because what they felt was real, whether they return or not. Whether another conversation happens or not, their feelings helped shape who they became. And perhaps that's the quiet truth many people never hear. Not every meaningful connection is loud. Some live quietly inside the heart, reminding us that genuine love changes people long after the words have ended. So if someone has been on your mind lately, don't rush to create a story. Don't assume the worst, and don't assume the best either. Instead, remember this. The strongest feelings are often the hardest to express. Sometimes silence isn't the absence of love. Sometimes it's the weight of emotions that never found the right words. If today's message resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt that someone still cared, even though they never said a word? And if you enjoy thoughtful relationship psychology and emotional insights, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Heart Whisper, and join us again for the next conversation. Until next time, take care of your heart, because the quietest feelings are often the ones that stay the longest.